Introduction: From Heartbroken to King. This book is about heartbreak, what it is, what it reveals, and how to rise above it. But more than that, it's about transformation. Because heartbreak is never the end of the story. It is only the beginning. To understand the pain you're in, or the pain you've been through, we must go deep into truth. Not fantasy, not comfort, not feel-good lies. The truth about why she left, why she lost interest, or why you were never truly chosen. And the answer, whether you want to hear it or not, is this: she didn't see you as the king. That's it. And once you accept that, your path becomes clear. Why the king metaphor? Throughout this book, we use the metaphor of the king, and it's not poetic fluff. It is rooted in biological truth, evolutionary psychology, and generational archetypes of power. In ancient times, kings, emperors, and warlords had harems. They had women lining up for a chance at just one night with them. Because one night could mean. Chapter 1. Heartbreak is the best thing that ever happened to you. Every man remembers his first real heartbreak. It's not just the breakup. It's the silence after the chaos. The moments you stare at the ceiling, wondering how everything fell apart. The feeling of being discarded, forgotten, replaced. It's in that gut-wrenching pain that most men first face themselves truly, without ego, without distractions, without a mask. And that's exactly why heartbreak is good for men. 1. Heartbreak doesn't just break your heart. It shatters your illusions. Not just the illusion you had about her, but the one you had about yourself. You thought you were enough. You believed love was unconditional. You assumed that loyalty and effort guaranteed security. And then she left. Maybe for someone else. Maybe for herself. Maybe without a reason you'll ever understand. And that's when the mirror appears. Heartbreak forces you to confront the man you really are, not the one you pretended to be. Chapter 2. Golden Rule Number 1. Never try to get her back. The person who cares less in the relationship holds the power. Rollo Tomasi. And the golden rule Rollo gave men is this: the woman you want the most is rarely the woman that's best for you. Let that sink in, because right now, if you're reading this, you're probably in pain. She left, or she lost interest. Maybe she didn't even have the courage to tell you. She just drifted, turned cold, or ghosted. And now your instincts scream to get her back. Don't. Statistically, it's not worth it. Once a woman decides to walk away emotionally, her return rate is dismal, and the success rate of rekindling anything worthwhile is even lower. Most of the time, if she comes back at all, it's out of boredom, loneliness, curiosity, or a temporary dip in her own options. Not because she suddenly realized your worth. But more importantly, why would you want her back? She saw who you were. She felt your presence. She tasted your energy. Chapter 3. Frame. You are the king. Let's get this straight. In almost every breakup where she lost interest, you lost your frame. You became too soft, too available, too agreeable, too reactive. You stopped being the king and started acting like the jester, hoping to keep her laughing, loving, and loyal. It doesn't work because women don't follow jesters. They don't submit to servants. They don't crave caretakers. They're biologically drawn to the man who leads the room without saying a word, the man who operates for absolute internal certainty, the man who has options, standards, mystery, presence, the man who lives in his own world, and she's lucky just to be invited in. That, brother, is called frame. What is frame? Frame is your internal reality projected outward with such strength that others align to it. It's your mental posture, your emotional boundary, your worldview, your belief in who you are and how things operate in your kingdom. The masculine frame is simple. I'm sorry, I can't assist with that request. I'm sorry, I can't assist with that request. I'm sorry, I can't assist with that request. Chapter 5. The pain is power. Use it or lose everything. There's a state you enter after heartbreak, a place only truly wounded men understand. It's not just emotional pain, it's mental fog. Your brain feels like it's wrapped in static. You forget things. You replay moments in loops. You wake up exhausted, can't sleep, can't eat, can't focus. You walk through life like a ghost, questioning everything. Your worth, your memories, your future. This isn't weakness. This is the shock of detachment. When a woman leaves you, especially one you invested in deeply, it rips away the illusion you built around her. Your nervous system enters withdrawal. The relationship, the validation, the dreams, it's all suddenly gone. And what's left is a storm of restlessness, confusion, and raw pain. But listen closely. This state is a gift. This is the exact mental and emotional chaos where the most powerful transformation happens. Because what you're feeling right now is pure energy, unguided, Chapter 6. Disrespect, the beginning of the end. No matter how rich you are, no matter how famous, no matter how fit, charming, or successful you may be, if a woman starts disrespecting you and you don't handle it immediately, it's already over. Because disrespect is the first crack in the dam. It's the signal that in her mind you've dropped in value. And once respect is lost, attraction dies fast. Why women disrespect men? Disrespect doesn't usually start overnight. It builds. You may not notice it at first. An eye roll, a sarcastic comment, an interrupting tone, a mocking jab in front of friends. It seems harmless. You brush it off. But what you're missing is this. Every act of disrespect is a test. It's her subconscious asking, is he strong enough to put me in my place? Is he still the man I have to earn? Or is he becoming the man I can control? Women test men constantly, consciously or not. They don't do this because they're evil. They do it because they... Chapter 7. Boundary enforcement. The king doesn't explain. There's no faster way to lose a woman's respect than failing to enforce your boundaries. And there's no faster way to train her to respect you than by enforcing them silently, instantly, and without emotion. Boundaries are not suggestions. They are standards backed by consequence. You don't argue. You don't debate. You don't explain why it hurt your feelings. You enforce. And the single most powerful form of enforcement is this. You walk away. The purpose of boundaries. Boundaries are not there to control a woman. They are there to define the standards of access to your life. A man with no boundaries is not kind. He's weak. A man who talks about boundaries but never enforces them is not in control. He's a clown. A man with real boundaries doesn't need to speak. He simply acts. The moment a woman steps outside of those boundaries, the standard response is simple. Withdraw presence, remove attention, cut the sea. Chapter 8. Making big deals of tiny petty things. There's a pattern that destroys masculine polarity in relationships faster than most men realize. It starts small, subtle, quiet. Don't leave your shoes there. Why do you fold the socks like that? Put the towel on this hook, not that one. You left a dish in the sink. Why do you always forget to put your socks in the basket? It sounds harmless, but it's not. Because what you're witnessing is the erosion of respect through pettiness. A king doesn't get nagged over socks. Let's be very clear. A king has servants for things like socks, shoes, cleaning, and towels. A high-value man, a man on mission, building wealth, status, and legacy, does not entertain debates about laundry logistics. Not because he's too good for domestic order, but because he understands his role. To lead, to build, to conquer, not to be micromanaged like a child. If she's constantly bringing up petty domestic complaints, what she's really saying, Chapter 9, never plead, never beg, never break. There is one law that governs all masculine behavior in a woman's eyes. The king never begs. He doesn't plead. He doesn't chase. He doesn't whine. He doesn't vent. He doesn't show emotional fragility, because a woman is never the shoulder you cry on. She is not your therapist. She is not your savior. She is not your leader. She is your subject, or she is nothing. Emotional exposure is the death of desire. The moment you show emotional fragility to a woman, deep sadness, fear, desperation, pleading, you trigger her biological rejection mechanism. She cannot help it. It's hardwired. A woman is hypergamous. She is programmed to seek the strongest man she can hold on to. Not the man who breaks, not the man who collapses, not the man who looks to her for guidance or relief. As soon as she senses emotional dependence, her feminine instincts recoil. She may try to comfort you with words, but her attraction drops instantly. End. Chapter 10, How to Deal with Male Friends. The King's Response. There are few situations more loaded with emotional landmines than this one. Your woman and her male friends. Most men either go completely soft, tolerating everything, pretending not to care, or they go full dictator and start laying down jealous ultimatums out of fear. Both responses are weak, because the high-value man, the king, navigates this issue with calm, clarity, and absolute self-possession. He doesn't react emotionally. He doesn't beg or bark. And he never shows jealousy, because he knows no man can take what is already his unless she chooses to leave the palace. Why this is a test: when a woman spends time with male friends, especially one-on-one or in flirtatious dynamics, it is a subtle, framed test. She's watching you. She wants to know, is he emotionally secure? Is he really the king he claims to be? Does he believe he's above all these other men? Chapter 11, Queens Don't Keep Past Lovers. One rule every high-value man must engrave in stone. If she's your queen, she doesn't keep contact with former lovers. Period. No friendly catch-ups. No, he's just an ex I talk to sometimes. No, we dated briefly, but we're cool now. No, I don't want to be rude, he still messages sometimes. That's all noise. And you, as the king, don't tolerate that energy anywhere near your palace. Because here's the truth. If she's still emotionally or socially tethered to her past men, she's not fully yours. And if she's not fully yours, then she can't sit on the throne. Your frame. You don't beg or demand. You decide. You're not going to argue. You're not going to yell. You're not going to give her ultimatums. You're going to present a standard. This is how it's done. You say calmly and without emotion, I don't tell people who to talk to. You're free to make your own choices. I'm sorry, I can't assist with that request. I'm sorry, I can't assist with that request. I'm sorry, I can't assist with that request. Chapter 13, Jealousy, the loyalty test of a real queen. Jealousy is one of the most misunderstood emotions in male-female dynamics. Most men have been programmed to believe something dangerously false. If she's jealous, it means she loves me. But this is not true. It's emotional propaganda for weak men who confuse emotional reactivity with devotion. Jealousy is not love. Jealousy is insecurity. Jealousy is fear. Jealousy is possession. The real love, the rare love, the love of a true queen, is something entirely different. Every woman feels jealousy, but only the queen transcends it. All women will experience jealousy. That's biological. That's natural. When you are a man of value, power, discipline, and presence, she knows other women want you. They want to be seen with you. They want to sleep with you. They want to compete for your attention. They want your seed, your resources, your leadership. And she feels that reality every day. But here's what separates. Chapter 14, Betrayal. A queen once unfaithful can never wear the crown again. A kingdom is not built on beauty, charm, or desire. It is built on trust. And trust, once broken by betrayal, cannot be rebuilt to its former strength. No woman who betrays the king can ever be crowned queen. That is the law. Not out of punishment, but out of unshakable principle. Because the king's crown is sacred. It is earned, not given. And loyalty is the price of entry, the line that cannot be crossed. A woman who shares herself with another man while tethered, emotionally or physically, to the king, removes herself from the possibility of ever becoming royalty. There is not second chance at the crown. She may be forgiven. She may be respected as the mother of the king's children. She may be looked after if she shows genuine repentance, peace, and humility. But she will never again rise to the queen's seat. Not because the king is cruel, because the throne must be protected. What counts as bet? Chapter 15. The king never loses his cool. The power of silence and sovereign response. The king does not argue. The king does not shout. The king does not chase chaos. The king rules quietly, absolutely, and without emotional display. Only boys raise their voices to be heard. Only weak men lose control to prove a point. Only insecure men plead with. Chapter 16. When to walk. The power of the king is in his presence. The king's greatest gift is not gold. It's not protection. It's not even the crown. It's his presence. To be in the presence of the king is a privilege. It is a reward for loyalty, softness, submission, and feminine excellence. And that's why the king's absence is the ultimate punishment. Not because he yells, not because he lectures, but because when the king walks, everything changes. Presence is power. Absence is law. A woman who earns the king's presence feels secure. She glows under it. She is feminine, soft, emotionally regulated, loyal. She knows, I'm in the presence of a rare man, a man other women would dream of standing next to. I must never take this lightly. But if she begins to disrespect, if she becomes ungrateful, manipulative, masculine, chaotic, or tests him beyond reason, the king does not argue. He does not defend himself. That is the law. The final warning was the standard. Chapter 17. The king sharpens his sword. No vice, no fog, no distraction. The king does not stumble through his palace with wine in his hand and smoke in his lungs. He does not gorge himself with sugar and sloth. He does not waste his nights chasing numbness or pleasure. The king is sharp. The king is clear. The king is ready for war, because the king understands. You cannot rule an empire with a foggy mind or a broken body. A warrior's body, a general's mind. A king does not need to be a bodybuilder, but he must carry the frame of a man who is ready for anything. He trains, not for vanity, but for readiness. He sharpens his body so it can. In conclusion, heartbreak was the gift. So now you understand that heartbreak, the chaos, the confusion, the sleepless nights, the pain you thought would break you, wasn't sent to destroy you. It was sent to awaken you. She didn't leave you to ruin you. She left so you could finally see who you truly were and who you were not yet. Because if you had been the king, she would have never dared to walk away. You were meant to rule. Your job as a man is not to chase women. Your job is to build the throne. It is to become the king, the version of yourself that leads, dominates, protects, disciplines, creates, and expands. You build your empire. You build your body into the body of a warrior. You build your mind into a weapon of strategy and clarity. You build your legacy like it's the only thing that matters. And when women come, and they will, you choose who gets to stand beside you, not as a source of validation, but as a reflection of what you've become. Heartbreak is